up, guys?
We are starting a new series, but we're on the same kind of vein. We're talking about Jesus again, which is awesome.
It's good to talk about Jesus.
It's good to talk about Jesus. We just finished up 4 weeks in the book of John, chapter 1, digging into who Jesus was and why he came. And we're going to start a new series on Jesus' teaching, and I'm really, really excited about this one. One, because we are going through the book of Matthew with the entire church.
Yeah.
So this is going to be, you're going to talk about alignment with your family. So we are in Matthew chapter 5 and some chapters after that. We are talking about the Sermon on the Mount. Maybe you've heard about that before, but really what the Sermon on the Mount is, it's a collection of teaching that Jesus did where he talked about what it's like to be in the kingdom of God. Yeah. Jesus is the king. We talked about that before. He's God. He's creator. He's everything. He's the king. But what kind of kingdom does he want? And so that's what we're going to dig into. That's what I'm really excited about. But before we do that, I got to throw a question to you guys. Okay. When you think about the influential people in your world, think about the people that we look up to as a society, what kind of attributes or qualities do we naturally think of?
Man, I think like people who look like they have it all together, right?
Okay.
Everyone's like, okay, they must be doing something right because things are going well for them.
Is that like social media, the highlight kind of thing? Just kind of like, it's like their life looks perfect. I want to be like them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like shows all the good stuff, but doesn't show any of the bad stuff.
Totally.
Who's going to post that on social media?
Yeah.
I think maybe something similar for me. I feel of like fame or like power. It's like the popular people. So like for some reason I think of like movie stars. They have a voice, that kind of stuff. Of just like, you know, maybe the same vein of like they're living the life that I would, or they're living the life that we would like to live because they have the money, the houses, the cars, those kinds of things.
No, that's good. Mine actually, the one I thought of kind of ties in with the fame and with what you were saying of just like reach and followers and subscribers. That number on the screen is like such a big deal. Like, you know, when you think about the big people on YouTube, like Mr. Beast that has so many followers and like he's so popular. People on Instagram or whatever that have all these people, like that's who we look up to, that number.
So if we have all these ideas and thoughts about what is an influential, what is a powerful person in our society, and if we compare that with Jesus, does that line up or does that mesh? That's the big question. And I think Jesus talks about himself in a much different way. So Matthew chapter 5 starts off the Sermon on the Mount. It's all about Jesus' kingdom. Let me read that for you. First of all, it says, God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for him, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. God blesses those who are humble, they will inherit the whole earth. God blesses those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they will be satisfied. God blesses those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. God blesses those whose hearts are pure, for they will see God. God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called children of God. And finally, God blesses those who are persecuted for doing right, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. So one word keeps coming over and over again, and that word is?
Blessed.
Blessed.
Yep.
Blessed. David, why don't you talk about what blessed means?
Totally. Yeah, I think it's really important to realize the difference between our worldly definition of blessed, what it means to be blessed, right? We often think about people who have their act together, who have a lot of stuff, money, power, influence, things like that.
Yep.
And that's not necessarily what God's definition of blessed is, because really his definition of those who are blessed are those who are close to him, those who long for him, who put him as their top priority. That's where I'd say his definition of blessed is.
So blessing isn't just about what we get. Blessing is more about our place in the kingdom of God. That's great. So let's talk about, there's a lot of characteristics that we can get into. I mean, I want you guys to dig in that in your small group, but what are a couple that just stick out to you in terms of ones that are like, man, that's different. That's not what I would normally think of in the kingdom of God.
Man, there was one that immediately stood out to me. It was in verse 4 where it says, God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. That word mourn it's a sad word. Yeah. It means like you're feeling that sadness, and it's saying that you're blessed for that, which in my mind is completely against what we hear of like, hey, do what makes you happy, like find happiness, and kind of what you were saying of like posting out on social media that everything's great. this goes against that and says, no, blessed are you who mourn. But what's cool that stuck out to me is in the end, it tells you you'll get what society says you're supposed to act like you have anyway. If you mourn, it promises you will be comforted.
Yeah.
And I think something similar, one that pops out to me and that's like personally like a struggle or hard for me, is blessed are the meek, or blessed are the humble, and they will inherit the kingdom of God. Again, just backwards, right? Jesus comes in and he's like starting off the Sermon on the Mount. He's turning it upside down, right? He's like, blessed are the ones who are sad, right? Yeah. Blessed are the ones who, think less of themselves. And so I just think it's interesting that Jesus starts his Sermon on the Mount with these kinds of things. And honestly, that's a struggle for me, right? To think less of myself and more of other people, or more importantly, more of him.
Yeah.
But it's just awesome to see that Jesus comes in and says, this is the way that my kingdom is. Like, if I'm the king and I'm the ruler and y'all are like a part of my kingdom, this is how we're going to live. Mm-hmm. The cool part, though, I think that as we walk through like 5 through 7, the whole Sermon on the Mount, is that we're going to see that the rest of the Sermon on the Mount explains and kind of just expounds it and gives more details to these Beatitudes.
Yeah, and I love this because these are very tangible. They're hard, difficult concepts, but they're very tangible because if we live these out, we're going to look different from other people.
Yeah,
totally.
We're going to totally look different from other people. We're going to look like, I don't know, followers of Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Right? So one of the things I want us to think about in you as in your group is as you unpack what each of these qualities look like, maybe ask the question, what is one of these qualities that you would like to see more of in your life, right? The idea of what would it look like if you hungered and thirsted for righteousness? What would it look like if you were humble in your own dealings with other people? What would it look like if you sought mercy for other people? Like, what would it be like if you did those? And maybe that would be something that you can talk about how you can grow that in your own life.
That's good.
I don't know if you can tell, I'm excited about this,
yeah.
right? I'm excited about what God is going to teach us over the next 6 weeks. And I hope this sparks very, very good conversation in your small groups as you unpack the Sermon on the Mount, but particularly the Beatitudes.